Okay, welcome to this episode of the Smart Leader Sell podcast. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and today I'm joined by one of my genuinely favourite people on the internet. Emma Langton is here, which I'm really excited about. I'm excited that you're finally here.
Yay! I know. I can't believe I waited this long. It's really great to be here. Thanks, Jess.
I know. Emma has, so usually Emma is on the other side of the podcast with the earbuds in, listening with Charlie, who I feel should be famous in his own right, has his own Instagram account. Charlie is Emma's dog. Just want to put that out there before everyone's like, Emma's child has an Instagram. No, Charlie is Emma's dog. What's his Instagram account?
Pooh called Charlie.
Because he's a
cockapoo.
Which always makes me laugh. I actually follow him on Instagram and I loved his Christmas pictures in the snow. He was looking festive and it was good. Yeah,
very festive. But the snow forms icicles quite quickly on their curly fur. So it's not always that good, but it looks good.
I'm imagining Charlie being covered in icicles, just kind of like stabbing him on the walk.
I know, we have to put him in a bath afterwards.
Oh, bless him. Well, obviously, I'm really excited that you're here. You are what I call the boundary queen. I think we kind of coined that term, a year ago now? It must have been. And Emma has been in my community for a while and is somebody who has the best set of boundaries I've ever seen. And we genuinely do refer to them in the Facebook groups. We're all like, Emma's the boundary queen. If you've got a problem with boundaries or other people overstepping the mark, you need to talk to Emma. So really, really excited to have you on.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I do love this title of the boundary queen. And it was from your community. And it must have been because I kept saying to people, that's your boundaries, that's your boundaries, that's your boundaries. They must have got sick of me.
No, but it's funny because even now I look at it and I'm like, oh God, if I'm letting somebody do something or I'm letting somebody overstep the mark, I'm like, oh, I've let them go over on my boundaries. And it's like I have your voice in my head like boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And I'm like, yeah, got it. Moving forward.
Brilliant. My work is done.
Exactly. So there you go. If you have boundary problems, you need to go and talk to Emma. And it's really interesting because boundaries aren't actually what I thought they were. As a kid, you kind of get brought up and the boundary is your parents say, eat that plate of carrots or you get nothing else. And so that's how we kind of think boundaries are, kind of harsh, a little bit unreasonable sometimes. And it was really interesting for me, genuinely, that when I met you, I started realizing that actually it's not all about harsh, aggressive, no, I'm just not going to do that and being really unreasonable. It's actually about setting up your own skills and saying, what do I want to take more of on and what am I not available for? And I really like that.
Yeah, it's obviously there came a point in my life when I had to learn that it was that way too. And that there's a massive amount which is about, it affects how we think, how we feel, how we respond. But no, it's not kind of a brick wall with barbed wire at the top and a guard there and things like that, we're not kind of setting up this, putting ourselves in as somebody once said to me, a state penitentiary. Ooh. When I put my boundaries up. I was like, oh gosh. As I explain to people, it's kind of like your little fence around your house and you can decide whether somebody's going to open that gate and come into your space. And then you decide if you're going to open your front door and let them in as well. But when you let them in, are you going to say, hang your coat up there, take your shoes off, you can leave your shoes on. Would you like a cup of tea or coffee? Would you like some Prosecco? You're deciding what it is that they're going to get tea, they're going to get Prosecco. Are they coming in? They're just standing at the door to have a chat. And it stops at, you have Max, I have Charlie, we know about dog walking, but that little fence bit as well, kind of stops the dog wandering into your garden and weeing on your flowers, and it keeps that there for everybody. And when we explain to people about those boundaries and we expect them to, we kind of train them, we tell them what our boundaries are because they're different for everybody. And then we respect our boundaries. We then expect them to respect our boundaries too. But if we don't tell people, they don't know. But there's a big bit about the feelings that go on with it. It's not just, like you say, harsh, rigid brick walls.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think some of the hardest bits that I've really struggled with have been not feeling bad for enforcing the boundary, right? So how many times, and I don't know whether it's a female thing, I know men that feel the same way. I was talking to my friend James about it when we went out for drinks this week. And we were talking about expectations. And when we put, when we say, this is my expectation of other people to do the job, to perform, to, behave in a certain way if they're a partner or a spouse or whatever, we almost feel like we are inconveniencing people. And I was like, I used to feel like that. And now I'm just kind of like, those are my boundaries. And if you don't like them, that's okay. But then, maybe we need to reconsider how our friendship works. And I think that's really interesting. That's my biggest takeaway from learning from you, is actually it's not about the boundary itself. It's about how I feel as a person, and going, I feel really good about saying to people, I'm allowing you this much. And then actually that's where I step away.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that I've kind of had to spend a lot of time educating people on, is that it's about the feelings. Anything that makes you feel uncomfortable then needs a boundary setting. Whether that's an action in your business, whether that's a person that you spend time with, whether that's somebody in your family, whether it's somebody in your social environment. If you feel uncomfortable, it needs looking at.
Yeah.
And this came about because I was working with a lot of people. I was working with business leaders. I was working with leading entrepreneurs, and we were looking at their feelings. They originally came to me for stuff to do with their feelings. Mm-hmm. And then I was finding that it was coming through. I was always having conversations with the majority of my clients about boundaries. But it started because we were looking at feelings. We were looking at mindset stuff. We were looking at fear. We were looking at belief. And then I realised, no, we're looking at boundaries. And then we needed to explain to them about the boundaries. Needed to explain how it sits with the feelings. So then I think it's all the B's with me. It's like brain work, business, boundaries, get that balance. It's all the B's. The feelings, the thoughts or the feelings all come with it.
And it's really interesting, because one of the big things that comes up when we start talking about sales with people is often how they feel about selling. And everyone goes, oh, it's icky, it's sleazy, it's gross. And you're like, okay, that's interesting. We need to unpick that. And a lot of the time that is about the boundary as well. What expectation are you setting of yourself when you sell, and what expectation of others are you setting on that as well?
Absolutely. And the big thing is, what have you learned? But, when I do all this kind of mindset work, and even the work with boundaries, we learn everything in our early life experiences. Okay. So, we learn to be polite. We learn when we should say please and thank you. We learn lots of not so good stuff, the negativities, speak when you're spoken to, that type of thing. Don't be pushy. Don't show off. We learn all that stuff. And I work with that a lot. But we also do learn about, what is sales. And we have then certainly I do, or had, some of this ideal, about the car salesman.
Yeah.
Wherever you go till you'd signed for this dodgy car, or, or that you went in to get a car and then you'd always push for, can I have mats? And full tank of petrol. And, there was always this push. So we've learned, all of us, including me, have learned about that stereotypical type of the sleazy sales, haven't we? In that way. So we learn all of these things from our experiences, and then I think when we go into business, we then have to change our mindset. We have to relearn things, or learn about things that have not been originally what we thought we were going to be. We go into business going, I'm going to do this because I'm really good at that. I started with the hypnotherapy and the coaching bit, and I'm really good at it and I really love it, and I'm going to do that. And then you have to learn about the accounts and the marketing and the sales and the and the websites and booking systems, and you have to learn it all. But some of it, we are changing our mindset and relearning how it is that we view this stuff. and particularly we have to learn how to do sales, but how we view sales, how we think about them. And you've done that massively, tremendously for me. I kind of started with changing the way that I think about marketing, in that I began to think about it as being that making relationships with people, because I can do that. And then you shifted things massively for me about the selling, hugely. But we all have to do that.
And selling, it's one of those things where I always call it the necessary evil, even now, because people are like, oh God, I don't want to sell, but I have to. And it's funny how quickly it changes from being the necessary evil to actually, once you're doing it properly, you enjoy it. It does become something that you go, yeah, actually, I'm making money in my business now, and that's great. But also, there are other elements of relationship building and having fun and all of that kind of stuff that are really, enjoyable, and that people kind of take with them and go, yeah, that wasn't so bad. Actually, sales is a good thing. It's a positive thing. And I didn't realize that it could be like that.
Exactly. When I did your cash creation, I always speak to my clients before I book any of them. There might be people that either, are not the right fit for me, or that just timelines don't fit.
Yeah.
And I might send them off to somewhere else. So I always did calls with people, and I kind of thought that I was reasonably good at doing these calls with people, and I'd be a bit like, right, say the price, leave the silence. Shall I get my diary now? Was my gentle phrase was at the end to push through. And I did your cash creation and got all these other fantastic ways of doing it. And I can remember a point about halfway through that I kind of went, oh my God, I don't want to do anything else. Where can I sell now? What can I sell now? I'll just sell anything. And it is that you get to that point that you just, it's another thing that's in your business that you love doing. Like I say, we started it with the thing that we do, and then sales can, with the right training, the right support, the right guidance, it can be that thing where you're just like, right, more sales. Where are they? What can I sell?
Give me a sandwich board and put me on the street.
Almost. The big chilly for that, but almost.
I love it. Next time I want to do a launch, I'm just going to bring you up. I'll be like, Emma, do you want to come do something? Do you want to come do a launch with me? Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So tell me about your question today, because that actually leads in really nicely to, we always want more sales, but.
Exactly. So I hear you say, sell every day. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we do this, even for somebody like me that doesn't even see sales as sleazy anymore, but there'll be listeners that maybe still do that. But how do we do sell every single day? Is it about, we don't want to be pushy, we don't want to be in your face. Okay. So it sounds like a short question, but how do we do the sell every day?
I think it's a really good question, actually, because there are two ways of doing it. One, as always, there are always going to be a couple of different ways, but one is automation, and not necessarily having funnels set up, because when we talk about automation, everyone goes, oh God, it's going to be a Facebook ad and a webinar and a funnel and a this and a that. But actually thinking about your customer journey when you are not actually posting live, or you're not writing the blog live or whatever. So the way that I think about it, or the best example, is your Facebook funnel, right? How many people have their Facebook cover photo on their personal profile actually directing people to a Facebook group, to a discovery call, to, if you're like me, buying the book, right? It's that kind of thing. That's selling. It's right there, and it's doing the job, so that even when I'm asleep in bed, if someone sees the comment or the post or whatever, they automatically know, okay, I can still go and buy that. I can still go and do that. So that's your automated version of it. The second thing is your proactive version of selling every day, where you go, and this is not necessarily about asking people to buy something or spend money with you every day, but it's about asking them to take the next step in the decision-making process with you every day and giving them an opportunity to do that. So you might, send out an email to your list offering them to book in a discovery call with you. You might go into your Facebook group and offer them the opportunity to join a program. You might go into, your membership and say to people, hey, do you want to renew for next month? Like, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can do it, but it's not necessarily about hammering a new program or even an old program at them every 5 minutes. It's asking them, how can we make the relationship better? What's the next step? Do you need to talk to me? Do we need to get on the phone? Do you need to go and download this freebie? Do you need to get on my email list? Are you somebody who just follows me on Twitter, but you're not actually in my community? Do you need to buy the book? Do you need to join a program? And it's that kind of thing. Does that make sense? It's more about the decision and the next step rather than buy this thing.
Perfect. So that first bit that you mentioned about kind of everything, things on your profile and things like that, it drives me nuts. There's so many of us online at the minute, and somebody puts a comment and you think, oh, that's an interesting comment. What do they do? And you click on their name and they're like,
yeah,
picture of the dog. What do they do?
Yeah.
Nothing. There's just nothing there. They're just the name, And I'm like,
yeah,
who are you? What do you do? But that's still what you would class as part of the selling. So you're raising awareness. You're up to speed on all your profiles, whatever is your format. That your information's there, who I am, what I do, where you can find me, and that's still selling.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Perfect. Tick. I'm doing that.
Woohoo!
Yes.
But
Okay.
it's that kind of thing. I mean,
the next bit.
You don't want to be friends with everyone. So sometimes I just want to click on someone's profile and go and join their group and sit there and lurk for a little bit and just find out, are they my kind of person? One comment does not a business make. But if I can sit in somebody's group and their whole attitude is in that vein, yeah, why wouldn't I buy from them?
Exactly. So, we need to know what people are doing. Please, world, everybody that's listening, go and tell us what you're doing.
It's helpful for stalkers like me and Emma.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm so damn nosy. Like, I need to know what you're doing. Who are you? Or who do you think you are?
Oh.
So that's brilliant, and that's a big tick for me because I'm doing that. But yeah, everybody else listening, go and do it, please. But the other bit there about, so I kind of always knew them as a call to action.
Yeah.
But I can also then again change the way that I think about that stuff and have it as, that is a sale, that is a push towards something that you do or something that you have or an offer that you're putting out.
Yeah.
And then, but we need to make sure that we're not kind of looking spammy by kind of doing a Facebook post, an Instagram post, and a LinkedIn post all on a Monday that all kind of says the same thing.
Exactly. And
putting it out there, putting things out there across the week and mixing it up and things like that.
Exactly. So think about it. If one day I'm selling to my Facebook group, I'm probably not going to send out the same thing to my email list unless I'm in a major launch. So launch mode is the one exception because you are, let's face it, going to have 2 weeks where you pretty much talk about one offer and people know about it, and your whole list, and your whole community is going to have that offer very visibly put in front of them for a consistent period of time.
Yeah.
That's once every so often. The majority of your day-to-day selling is done either automated, like we talked about with the Facebook stuff and that kind of basic funnel, or proactively. And so what you don't want to do is, and I see this and it drives me crazy, I unsubscribe from lists immediately if people do this, where they go, I'm going to write this Facebook post. And I'm going to, at the bottom, and it's like a value Facebook post. And at the bottom, they put this PS, if you want to join my latest program, it's going to be this much. And then they send that out to their email list. So if you're on the email list, you've just seen it from the Facebook post, then you see it on the email, and then they go and they repurpose that in their Facebook group. So they don't change it. They just use the same post. So it's in the group now, it's on their personal profile, it's on their business page, it's on their email list. And then if you go over to Instagram, it's there. And then it's on Twitter, there's a link to it, and then it's on the blog. Now, I'm a big fan of repurposing, and that's fine. But that's what we call spam. That's what we call spammy sales. That's the kind of sales that make us feel gross because, yes, people are seeing it. You're getting as many eyeballs on it as possible. But actually your audience, like all of the touch points that I've had from you today are exactly the same. There's nothing different. I've learned nothing new. Whereas if you go, okay, today I'm going to offer discovery calls out to my email list, and have a reason. Why are you offering discovery calls to your email list this week? Why is that important for them? Is it because actually you've noticed that people have been getting super engaged with your emails recently and that they've been responding? So you think, you guys have more questions. If it is, say that in your email. Hey, I've noticed that a lot of you have been hitting me back on questions like, If you'd like to have a call and talk about your personal action plan, here's a link, book it in, let's chat one-to-one. That's a great reason, because you're actively looking at what they are doing, what they are experiencing, and you're reacting to it. And then the next day, your Facebook group, you might already have an offer, an offer that you're promoting people. So for example, I get lots of people who go, I struggle with sales calls. I have a $27 offer. People can go and download the scripts and the objection handling guides. And so it might be that a bunch of people in my Facebook group go, oh, Jess, biggest struggle right now is sales calls. And I say, I've got a guide for that. You can go and download it here. Again, that's a sale, but it's a different sale. Do you see what I mean? Equally, I have people who go, oh, my biggest problem is list building. And I go, well, I've got an opt-in for that. You can go and download it here. The difference is that what you're trying to do with selling every day is get them to make the next decision in the process. So if someone's brand new to you, they need to be either downloading your opt-in or joining your community and getting involved. And then once they've done that, we want them to get on the phone with us, or we want them to respond to our emails, or we want them to take something else. Where people go wrong is when we put them back into the cycle. So for example, somebody downloads the opt-in and then they come to you and they say, Jess, I downloaded your list building opt-in. It was great. However, I don't really know how to create my own opt-in. Now, if I then go back to them and go, oh, okay, go and check out this random blog. Go and do this. I'm putting them back into the free cycle. So I'm not allowing them to make the decision to get a better relationship with me. I'm not saying to them, actually, I've got a mini course, or actually, do you want to get on the phone and discuss it, or giving them any other options. I'm putting them back in, go figure it out for yourself. And if we continue to turn people away like that, and we're always offering them only free, they leave because they're like, I want you to help solve the problem. And if you keep turning me away, I'll go and find somebody else who won't.
Yeah. So I've already been in your community and I've seen your stuff and I've got the know, like, and trust. Yeah. And I'm asking you for a little bit more, and you've effectively just bounced me back. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And then they're going to go, well, that advice was rubbish.
And that's the thing, right? So when we get that, when we're constantly told to go and download free things, from a sales perspective, sometimes we think it's really good. We're like, look, we're adding so much value. We've got so much stuff for free. What we're actually doing is saying to people, we're not confident to sell you the solution to your problem. Mm-hmm. And if we're not confident, they can't be.
Yeah. Or I haven't got it, actually.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
Yeah. And so they go and find somebody else. And it's weird because they come back 6 months later, they're like, oh, I didn't realize you taught that. And you're like, well, how did you not? I gave you this opt-in and there was this tripwire if you'd have just gone through the email sequence. But because it wasn't up front, because when they asked for the help, you didn't say, actually, I've got this, or you can hop on a call and discuss it, or you can go and do this. They walked.
Yeah. So we're constantly looking at every time somebody comes into us, we're looking at where we want them to go next as well. So it's not just about like the planned series, the routine of things that we're putting out there. Then we're looking at kind of almost reactive opportunities. So like you said about an active email list, if you've got space and things, or a single point of contact if somebody's replying to emails and things like that. We're then looking at the reactive, but that reactive needs to be up to the next level and up to the next level. So I knew there was lots of different ways to sell every day, but that makes it really, really clear and makes me think about what is that next stage. And it can be a different stage for each time that somebody approaches us.
Yeah. Really. Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is, you're never going to remember everyone. I try my best with my communities, but you're never going to be able to pinpoint exactly where somebody is in relation to you in terms of how much they know, like, and trust you. Because some people lurk, some people are quieter, some people, download everything, never read it. So, you're never going to be able to pinpoint exactly. But what you want to have in your head is, am I consistently giving people opportunities to build a better relationship with me? Have I done that this week? Have I put them in a process that would eventually end in a money-making activity for me?
Yeah.
And a solution process for them. Because it's not one or the other, it's both. But ultimately, that's what we want to be doing. And so, that's one of the reasons why people go after Facebook ads. Oh, Facebook ads are really sexy because they sell. Well, they don't. The job of the ad is to do what we've just discussed there, but on an automatic basis. Hey, I'm here in your newsfeed. You don't know me yet, but here's a way that you can. Hey, here's something you can download. Now I'm in your inbox. You don't know me yet, but here's an email sequence telling you who I am so that we can be friends. Hey, now I'm in your inbox with an offer, a small offer. Now you know me a bit. You kind of like me. You're happy to drop $20 on me to see if I'm any good. Do you want to do that now? Do you see what I mean? So that's just the automated process behind it. When you're selling every day proactively, you're just doing that, but you're kind of just keeping an eye on where your community is and where they're generally going and the actions that they're taking, and just responding as normal.
Perfect. So some of that is about having really clear call to action. I see so many. I love it when I have these conversations with you, because sometimes I realise that I kind of know more than
you do.
Than I thought. I see so many people that put things out and they go, I'm doing this, this and this. And I go, that sounds really good. Well, how the hell do I get in touch with them? Oh, where do I go from here? I just stop at, that sounds really good. Love, Jane. It's like, oh, the end. It stopped. What do I do? And I'm seeing so much now with like Facebook, and people are going, recommendations.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, Joe Bloggs is really good on that. Tag Joe Bloggs. Joe Bloggs comes in and goes, thanks, Bob. And then doesn't respond to the person that went, I want a recommendation. Or they're coming in and they're just going, yeah, I can help. Where do I go?
But this is the thing. So sometimes people get really embarrassed about putting a call to action. And I find this is an interesting one for me. We fear rejection. So we're like, oh, in order not to be rejected, we just won't put anything out there. So if that means that we don't put the link in to book something, or that we talk about this amazing idea, but we don't put a sales page on it, it's impossible for us to be rejected because it was never there.
Exactly.
Right? That's where people are going wrong. Whereas I would rather people just put the call to action at the beginning. If you're going to waste your time, and it is genuinely a waste, I very, very rarely read warning vulnerable post alert. And if I do happen to read it and I get to the bottom and it says, P.S. here's a link to my latest $20,000 squillion program, I block your stuff. Like, I'm just not interested. But it's that kind of thing. If you put the call to action at the beginning, hey, I've got this mastermind running. It's amazing. I really, really looking forward to running it. These kind of people I'm running it for. The reason I'm thinking about it this morning is, then put your post, right? So I can actually see it. I don't mind you having the call to action at the beginning. Be different. Do something a little bit different. And then if I get the learning lesson after, because I want to continue reading, great. If it's everything's hidden in a post, so it confuses me, and it makes me kind of think, oh, it's below the fold, I just can't be bothered to click because inherently we're all pretty lazy, you're missing out on the sale because your call to action just wasn't there.
Yeah. And that's the other bit that kind of where I go, oh, we have to make it easy for people. We have to make it easy. It's a really busy world that we live in. Yeah. So we need it really easy. Like we said at the beginning, click through on the name, see what people are doing. If it's a recommendation, if it's a good post, if it's a decent email, and you're kind of like, right, yeah, I like that. Oh, God, now what? I think that's where there's this, people need to know what to do and how to do it. And they also need to shift in that mindset to get away from it being sleazy and pushy.
Yeah.
And also, is there a way that we can push too much or jump too far ahead of things with some of these things?
I think it's one of those things where you've always got to have balance. But generally speaking, what the worst that can happen is that somebody says no. So for example, if I see somebody that says in my community and they go, Jess, I'm really struggling with sales calls, and I think actually from what they've said, the best thing that they could have would be my sales scripts, I'll go, hey, this would be the best resource for you right now. Let me know what you think. I'll put the link. And if they come back and they go, no, I don't want to buy anything, I want something for free, I'll say, okay, no problem. Have you checked out my podcast? Or have you checked out my blog? Because there are some resources on there. I might not have the time to go back to them and go, here's the exact link or here's the exact episode. But I can always say, have you tried this instead? What I find that a lot of people do is they don't want to give that initial option of, here's the paid thing first. We always want to go back to free, go back to free, go back to free, even though that may not be the best decision for that person. The wrong way to do it, or the sleazy way to do it, is when somebody asks a question like, I get quite a lot of people come into my group. It's really lovely. Everyone introduces themselves. Hey, hi, I'm a web designer or whatever. And I'm like, great. The sleazy way to make a sale every day would be to wait for somebody to make an introduction. And they're like, hi, I'm Bob. I'm a web designer. For you as the leader to go, hi, Bob, I'm Jessica. I teach people how to sell. I think you need to learn that. Please book in your call here. Right? That's gross, because you don't know whether Bob needs to learn to sell. You don't really know anything about him, but you're like, this is my opportunity of the day. Here I go, seizing it, getting the sales call. And then everyone looks at you and goes, oh Christ, no thanks. Because it's not that you said, do you want to get on the phone? It's not about that at all. It's the way that you did it.
Yeah. It's just like hitting them around the head with your stuff.
And that's it. Buy this thing. You will buy it. You are here. And that's it. You've got to think about it. I always say this about car salesmen. They're not very good at a lot of things. I'll be honest. Car salesmen, sleazy, gross is kind of their bag. But the actual process to buying a car is really easy. You walk in the showroom. Within 2 to 3 minutes, someone comes up to you. Yes, sometimes it might be too quick for you, but someone will come up to you and they'll say, is there anything you need? Do you need any help today? And you can go, yes, I'm looking for this, or no, I'm just looking. And if you say, no, I'm just looking, they go, okay, cool. And they hover like quite fairly close, because they don't want to lose you now, but they hover and they're fairly respectful. And then maybe 5 minutes later, they go, I've noticed that you're looking at this model. Isn't it great? And they'll start quietly going into benefits, by which point you are sucked in. You're like, oh yes, actually, I'd like to test drive the car. You a minute ago didn't want to talk to them, but they didn't take the initial no. They just went, okay, not right now. I'll come back. So then they go into, okay, would you like to drive the car? Do you want to try it? And that's their next step. You sit in the driver's seat. And that's effectively like our tripwires. You download the first thing, you take the step, you see what you can implement on your own. Right? Once you're in the car, no way, I'm never letting this go. I'm driving out with it today. Great. And they'll take you back to the desk and you sit down away from everybody else who's looking at cars, and they'll go, this is the finance that you need or whatever. And they'll take you through this process. And it's really easy, right? When people get hacked off, and I was talking to somebody about this on the train the other day, and she was like, it's really hacked off. I went into one of the big car dealerships. And I had the cash there. She had £30,000 from my company to buy this car. And I go in and I'm stood there and nobody comes up to me. So I had a couple walk in together and they're there for 30 seconds and someone immediately runs up, do you need a new car? She said, but I was there on my own looking at this one car and nobody walked up to me. She said, I was so angry that I walked out and I went to a different garage and I bought the car there because nobody wanted to help. And that's what we're doing online sometimes. When we're not stepping up, actually, we're really hacking people off because they're like, I'm here, I'm asking for help, I'm trying to, do my best, I'm trying to show that I'm interested, I'm showing up to the lives, I'm asking questions, but there's no further offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we do need to serve the people who want to be served, and we need to get comfortable with saying no.
Yeah.
Just right back round to boundaries. Comfortable boundaries. Same. Teamwork, Jess.
Exactly. But this is literally all it is. And, you know, so when you are saying sell every day, it's not about, you know, smacking everyone over the head with a sledgehammer sale. It is a case of, where are my community this week? You know, what have they seen this week from me? What would be the next step in the relationship? You know, if you're doing market research, great, you've done the market research. Where's the free training? Where's the post? In the training, is there an offer? Like, start thinking about that process that you have in your business, and you'll be fine. But that's all it is. It's just a process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I was doing better at it than I realised. So that was a good thing.
As always.
I love a bit of reflection as well. So that's great. Thank you for that. My community, if they listen to this, can look forward to seeing, testing out where it happens.
Exactly.
How it happens.
I'm expecting feedback on this. I'm expecting Emma's community to write in and be like, so Emma made this offer and I thought it was great. And I'll be like, right. Screenshotting and looking at the copy. But yeah, seriously though, where can people find you? Because you are the queen of the boundary world.
I am the queen of the boundary world, although that's possibly needs to come across more in the online space. But you can find me at my website at www.emmalangton.com. And from there, people will be able to find my Facebook group, find my LinkedIn, find my group, which looks at, it's called Women in Successful Blissness, but it looks at business, boundaries, balance in your life. And you'll be able to find all that though straight from my website.
See, there you go. Look at that process right there. Nailed it. Amazing. And the link for that will be in the show notes as well. So if you do want to go over, chat with Emma about boundaries, about balance, about business, all that good stuff, make sure that you go down, hit that link and go over and meet her over at emmalangton.com. It's been an epic episode. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
And if you've enjoyed the episode, please make sure you go over to iTunes or Podbean, whatever you're using, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. And if you thought it was a good one, leave us a review. Both me and Emma would love to know your thoughts. And I'll see you in the next episode.